You're not recruited, you're acquired, then given a new life. It happens in a place built for forgetting. A corner table. A cold drink, a polite smile, no badges, no uniforms. No cinematic lines. They use your name once. The name you never put online. The name only paperwork should know. Then they offer three things: protection, money, a way out, and a warning that lands like a stamp. You can walk away only once. After that, you're not a person, you're a liability with a pulse. And the worst part is this: you already know you're going to say yes. You show up thinking it's business. You tell yourself it's networking. A mentor, a client, a friend of a friend. Something normal that adults do in big cities. Then they start describing your life. Your commute, your habits, your weak hours. The small private mistakes you buried years ago. They don't threaten you. They don't need to. They simply prove they're real. You finally hear the words you weren't expecting. Not spy, not agent, just service. You learn that the UK's Foreign Intelligence Service is formally defined in law, not rumor. The system exists on paper, with functions set out by the Intelligence Services Act 1994. That fact doesn't comfort you. It chills you. Because it means this isn't a scam. It's a machine. You ask what they want? They answer like it's obvious. Nothing big. Not yet. And you feel your stomach sink. They don't ask who you are. They tell you. You deliver something small. A detail that feels harmless. A name you overheard. A timeline you noticed. A conversation that didn't sound important to you, to them. It's oxygen. They don't celebrate. They don't clap. They just nod like you confirmed gravity. Then they ask for one more thing, and you realize something. Your first favor wasn't a favor. It was an entry in a file. They speak in careful words, authorized, proportionate, necessary, language that sounds clean and antiseptic. MI6 publicly emphasizes it is legally compliant, authorized, and monitored through oversight bodies. In your world, that becomes a vibe paperwork and permission wrapped around decisions you'll never fully see. It's not chaos. It's controlled pressure. You get paid, but the money isn't the point. The point is the phone number you're told to keep. The point is the time window you're told to answer. The point is how quickly no stops being natural. You walk home feeling taller. Then you catch your reflection in a window. You look the same. But you already feel owned. The payment isn't cash. It's continued relevance. You get rules that sound like manners. Don't improvise. Don't dramatize. Don't treat this like a story. Don't brag. Not even indirectly. Don't keep souvenirs. Not even screenshots. Don't confide in anyone ever. And the strangest rule of all, don't feel important. Because importance makes people sloppy. They explain the culture like it's tradition. The head of the service is called C, not a nickname, a legacy. It goes back to the beginning 1909 when Britain's Secret Service Bureau split into home and foreign sections. Mansfield Cumming led the foreign side, signing letters simply C, a tradition that continued with future chiefs. History told like a quiet threat. This institution outlives everyone, including you. Your handler never calls you brave. They call you useful. At first, that feels insulting. Then it feels addictive. You start planning your days differently. You avoid certain conversations. You keep your voice low in crowded places. Your calendar becomes a second life. And that second life starts eating the freedom doesn't end loudly. It ends politely. Freedom ends quietly, one calendar change at a time. You begin to feel a building you've never entered. A place in London people recognize from films. Vauxhall Cross, the MI6 headquarters, a real landmark with a real history. MI6 moved there in 1994. It was officially opened in July 1994, and it has been their headquarters ever since. Publicly acknowledged, almost casual. Like the world can see the shell, but not the bones inside. You don't go there, not in your story, not in your level, but you feel it anyway. Your handler's calls become shorter. Their tone becomes flatter. They start asking questions that aren't questions. How are you sleeping? What did you tell your friend about your trip? Who noticed your schedule changed? It's not concern, it's measurement. You understand what's happening. You're being tested for loyalty, not with speeches. With silence. They watch what you don't say. They watch what you don't do. They watch whether you can hold discomfort without leaking it, and you can. That's the problem. Because passing the test means they invest more. And investment means deeper hooks. The test isn't what you bring back, it's what you don't say. You get offered protection from a threat they can also become. It starts as kindness. A problem handled. A door opened. A messy situation made strangely clean. Then your handler reminds you of your past. Not accusing, not judging. Just reciting it with perfect timing. Old mistakes, old texts, old photos, things you forgot existed, things you hope nobody saved. They never say blackmail. They don't have to. They say partnership. They say duty. They say national interest with a straight face. And they say it like a fact, like gravity again. You remember they told you they're monitored. Oversight exists, IPCO, IPT, ISC, a lawful framework around covert work. But here's what you learn at level 5. Oversight doesn't mean mercy. It means process. It means someone signs something, someone files something, and you are still the one who lives with it. You look at the deal in front of you. Keep going, and you're safe. Stop, and your life becomes fragile. You don't know which option is freedom. You only know which option is immediate. You learn the difference between leverage and trust. Your value spikes, and the warmth disappears. No more friendly tones. No more, how are you holding up? Just instructions delivered like weather reports. You realize something humiliating. They praise beginners. They assume veterans comply. Meetings get rarer, shorter, more formal. Like the relationship has matured into pure utility. And the stakes feel bigger now. Not because you're doing more, but because you're connected to more. You hear a phrase that changes the air. Authorization. You learn there are legal mechanisms for acts connected to operations beyond the British Islands. The Intelligence Services Act 1994 includes Section 7, allowing certain acts outside the British Islands to be authorized by the Secretary of State under specific conditions. You don't hear it as legal nuance. You hear it as the state admitting quietly that lines can move on paper. No one tells you details. They don't need to. You feel the scale in the way people speak, in the way meetings are scheduled, in the way your handler stops using your first name. You ask yourself a question in the dark. If your work prevents harm, is it worth it? If it causes harm, is it still necessary? And you hate how quickly your mind adapts. The higher you climb, the fewer choices you're offered. You become unprovable. Your friends start making jokes. You're always busy. You're impossible to pin down. You laugh with them. You get good at laughing. You master the art of normal words, normal reactions, normal eye contact. And you start losing something. Not your fear. Not your discipline. Your continuity. Your life splits into compartments. Not because you want it to, because the system demands it. MI6's own authorized public history has limits. It openly notes it cannot reveal much about operations beyond certain points. In your narrative, that becomes fog. The deeper you go, the less you can explain even to yourself. Your memories start sounding like lies. You notice you've stopped making plans. You keep everything tentative, everything reversible. You stop posting photos, then you stop taking them. You realize you're no longer building a life. You're managing exposure. And when you imagine something going wrong, your mind doesn't picture rescue. It pictures denial, no press conference, no acknowledgement. No, we're bringing him home. You don't fear death. You fear being erased. Your handler's voice changes. Not colder, softer. That softness is worse. They pick a time that feels nostalgic. Same type of place as level 1, same kind of corner table. Same quiet certainty. They don't call it an ending. They call it an option. A way out, a clean break. A new identity that solves problems you didn't admit aloud. You hear the offer clearly. You can leave this life, but you can't take yourself with you. You ask what the cost is. They don't list a number. They list a feeling. Silence. They remind you the service is governed, authorized, monitored. That's the public truth. In your private truth, you finally see the shape of the machine. It can be lawful and still ruthless. It can follow process and still consume people. Then comes the moment that breaks you. You realize the work was never just information. It was conditioning. The slow replacement of your instincts. The rewiring of your loyalty. The training of your mouth to stay shut. You think about the people affected by what you gave. Not villains, not monsters. Just human beings caught in larger games. You feel the comment section forming in your head. Would you do it? Would you keep going if it protected your country? Would you keep going if it protected you? The handler watches you wrestle with it. They don't interrupt. They've seen this before. You sign nothing yet. But you understand the final truth. You finally understand. The job was never information, it was you. You sit in a new city with a new name. Different streets, different accent around you, a different mirror, a different version of your face. You try to enjoy the quiet. You try to believe it's over. You try to feel like a man again. Your phone buzzes once. Just a number. No contact name. No message. That's how it always was. That's how it always will be. And you already know where to be tomorrow. Across the city, someone else enters a cafe. They think it's business. They think it's normal. A stranger smiles, says their private name once, and offers 3 things: protection, money, a way out. Then the warning lands, soft as paper. You can walk away once, only once. And somewhere deep in your chest, you feel the old chain tighten without anyone ever touching it.